So the multi-phase flow material balance technique that we've implemented in Whitson Plus solves a very fundamental problem. And the problem is easy. All multi-phase flow material balance techniques, or multi-phase problems in general, they require relative permeabilities as an input, while in reality we don't have relative permeabilities in tight unconventionals, either because we can't measure them in these tight unconventional rocks, or is very, very seldom to even have an attempt of measuring these. And we can't calculate relative permeabilities from readily available data, like we can do with a lot of other things. So that was why we got very excited back in 2020 when Leslie Thompson and Barry Ruddock, which was working at Cimarex at the time, which is now Coterra, they came to us and said, well, we've developed this new multi-phase flow material balance method that does not require relative permeabilities as an input, is geometrically agnostic, so it doesn't care about what geometry your call it tank has, and it outputs the contacted pore volume or the contacted oil or gas in place. And I remember when all this sounds way too good to be true. So I remember, at least I was very skeptical at first, believing what they what they claimed to be correct. But after verifying this call it technology versus a wide range of simulated results, probably hundreds and hundreds of simulated results where we actually know the answers and we've changed all the fluid systems, all the relative permeabilities, etc. I feel very, very comfortable with the methodology. And we've done it internally at Whitson. A lot of other companies have done it as well, Coterra being one of them. And now there's a lot of companies that use this technique for every single well in their acreage. So multi-phase flow material balance is a technique that works. It does not require relative permeabilities. It outputs the contacted pore volume, and it's geometrically agnostic. However, it assumes boundary dominated flow, or so-called pseudo-steady state, which means that if you have a system that is still in either infinite acting flow or transitional flow, it will provide you with a lower estimate of, or like a conservative lower bound of your contacted oil and gas in place. And that is actually very valuable, especially when you want to bring this into RTA analysis, for instance, because it helps you bound these results on the low side, which in many cases can be really important, especially when you're dealing with very noisy data. The diagnostic plot is very simple. It's simply some dots on a line right here, or on a plot, and your job as an engineer is to draw a straight line through the straight line portion of this data, and the inverse of the slope is essentially your pore volume or your oil in place or gas in place. Okay, so this is a small OIP, this is a big OIP, and this is an even bigger one. The governing equation can look a little bit scary at first, but if we take and break it down, it's basically just an intercept. It's material balance time. It's a pore volume. All of this stuff is, intercepts we know, material balance time we know, pore volume we know. Then there's mass rate, so that's just all the rates converted into a mass, so gas, water, and oil. And then we have this thing called mixture density change. That is, probably a new term, but if you think about it, it's a mixture density. And what is a mixture density? Well, it's just a density. And if you take a look at this equation right here and you simplify it a little bit, which I always like to do, we see we have density and we see we have mass over volume. And density equals mass over volume. That's something we all call it know, and probably learned about in either high school and or university. The other thing that is really beautiful with this equation, if you break it down, is that it's just a very simple relationship. It's y equal to ax plus b. Okay? That's any engineer's kind of dream scenario where you take something extremely nonlinear and complex, which is this combination of superposition and multiphase flow effects, and you're able to linearize it into a very, very powerful diagnostic plot. So that is the multiphase FMB in a nutshell.